Good evening. It is Amanda from Amanda Jane Wellness. I am here doing this as my first segment for my channel and Facebook page and all of that good stuff. It is my first venture as far as videos go. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be answering questions, wellness, health questions, anything that you might be interested in. You could always message me or comment on the video and tell me if you have a question that we can Google and find out together. Or I have a list of questions. I have 52 of them. So if I did it once a week, I could do it for a whole year, because 52 weeks in a year. But I'm going to try to do it twice a week. I mean, I'm still getting used to this, so it might be once a week at first, and then, whatever. I just got a job, and I'm going to go back to school at LSU soon, and I'll do an official welcome video and stuff and go over all of that sometime. But I wanted to do this first, just because I felt motivated to do it. And when you feel motivated to do something, you should do it. So, I'm doing it. Now, I have a strong connection to this particular question. It's the very first question that I'm doing, probably because I have a strong connection with it. And I just wanted to go over this a little bit with everybody. Yeah. So the first question that I'm going to be asking, or that answering, is what is an anxiety disorder? So I already typed it in, looked it up on the Googs, and it is, the term anxiety disorder refers to specific psychiatric disorders that involve extreme fear or worry, and includes generalized anxiety disorder, something that I have, panic disorder and panic attacks, agoraphobia, which is the fear of leaving your house. You don't want to leave your house. Social anxiety disorder, selective mutism, separation anxiety, and specific phobias. We'll go over phobias and some other things that this is talking about. And that's like a little snippet from Anxiety and Depression Association of America. Yep. And, when you Google like a disorder or a symptom or something like that, or an illness, there's this little thing that comes up. It has a picture of a doctor and a whatever, and overview, symptoms, treatment, specialists, and that's how a lot of people get their information. Well, this has one. So that says, a mental health disorder characterized by feeling of worry, anxiety, or fear that are strong enough to interfere with one's daily activities. And it also says examples of anxiety disorders include panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. Symptoms include stress that's out of proportion to the impact of the event, inability to set aside a worry, or restlessness. And treatment includes counseling or medications, including antidepressants. Let me write this down real quick. I just thought of a thing that I want to make a video on, and anyway. So, anxiety disorder. I have an anxiety disorder, as I said. It can be really hard to deal with, especially if it's severe. When you search anxiety disorder in Google, under the little thing that Google provides with overview, symptoms, whatever, it has a little thing right underneath the words that I was reading, says take a self-assessment. So you can, and it's a little quiz that's based off of like a real thing that like therapists actually use to diagnose people with anxiety and depression. But when you take it, because I took it just a bit ago, it says, not a diagnosis, consult a doctor or other care provider for advice. Very true. You should never just assume that something that you take online is going to tell you that you have a disorder. You should never do that. Also, I am not a doctor, so I'm just making videos and like answering questions. That doesn't necessarily mean that you should take my advice. That's just what I'm like reading off of Google or, you know, like a well-known source. But still, I am not a doctor. Do not think that because I say something, that's what you should do. Disclaimer. But it says that anxiety disorders are very common, more than 3 million U.S. cases per year. It's usually self-diagnosable, but I don't recommend it because it might be something else. You should really go and speak to somebody, and you don't need to get any lab tests is what it says. So, if I go to Anxiety and Depression Association of America, which is the first snippet that I read about anxiety disorders, out of all the things that it lists, generalized anxiety disorder is something that majority of Americans are being diagnosed with these days. Don't blame anybody because the world is crazy. COVID fucked a lot of shit up. Also, disclaimer, I will curse. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Don't watch. But GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, is what everybody has these days. Everybody has it. Just like all kids have ADHD. But I actually do have generalized anxiety disorder. I used to have panic attacks in middle school. And I do have a phobia. So, you know, I think I also have a little bit of OCD. And I have depression. And all of those things go together. So without talking to somebody, it's really hard to understand if you have just one thing. Anxiety goes with depression as well as depression goes with everything else. Depression is like a blanket. And underneath the blanket are little balls of everything else. Now, if I go to this little symptom thingy, when you Google it, you know, next to overview their symptoms, it says symptoms include stress that's out of proportion to the impact of the event, inability to set aside a worry, and restlessness. In behavioral symptoms, you can have hypervigilance, irritability, or restlessness. Cognitive lack of concentration, racing thoughts or unwanted thoughts, whole body fatigue or sweating, also common, anxiety, excessive worry, impending doom, insomnia, nausea, palpitations, or trembling. Those are things that I went through. Nausea, trembling. I mostly attributed that to panic attacks, but nausea was something that I consistently dealt with in my anxiety. Nobody ever knew what was wrong with me. They didn't know that it was anxiety. I didn't know that it was anxiety, not until college, when I started taking psychology classes. It's something that, because we all deal with it, it's hard to feel like anybody's like really special because they have it. There's a lot of things that you can do to calm yourself down. And I'll go over, there's like a whole list on this website. Yep. A lot of people are like, well, you need to take medication. It's like, well, you could, but you don't have to. You know, you also don't have to talk to anybody either if you don't want to. So things that you can do that don't include either of those could be meditation. You know, you could sit and calm yourself, breathe in and out. I like to use the 4-4 method. So I breathe in 4, breathe out 4. So breathe in through your nose and breathe out, ideally, through your mouth in a straw. But I don't like to breathe out through my mouth. So that's just how it... Anyway. One thing that I've done in DBT therapy, which is dialectical behavior therapy, is to like take a step back from the problems. That's hard for some people to do. It's a skill that I have learned, but over time, and that can really help. Just to see, like, kind of imagine it as an out-of-body experience, to see, like, what is causing the anxiety. That can help a lot once you find the core reason that you're anxious. Yeah. Eat breakfast, eat lunch, eat dinner, eat some snacks. You know, if you have a calorie limit, okay, cool. But, like, eat all day. Don't just, like, save it. Intermittent fasting works for some people. But not if you have, you know, issues, like physical issues caused by anxiety and stuff. Alcohol and caffeine. Caffeine makes your heart rate, you know, accelerate, which can cause anxiety. That's what it does for me. You know, it takes a long time to get over it, but it can trigger panic attacks. And it's no fun. Get enough sleep. If you don't sleep enough, your body as well as your mind are stressed out. So you need to sleep. You need to make sure that you get enough rest. And if you don't get enough rest during the night, then you need to find a time to take a nap. I'm serious. That's what my boyfriend does. He takes a nap during the middle of the day. Exercise. With low motivation caused by depression, which goes hand in hand with anxiety, it's really hard to do that, but it is probably your best bet into making you feel better. You know, it helps with your serotonin, and it releases dopamine, which are the happy hormones. It's real. And it works, especially if you're consistent. And it's hard, but if it's like the first thing you do in the day, like you wake up, you put on some shoes, well, put on clothes and then put on shoes, and then you just go out, go for a 30-minute walk, and then up it after a week or two to an hour, and then make it jogging or whatever if you can. I can't jog or run because of my knees and my heart. And my overheated issues. But I walk. I go on nice walks. Like I said earlier, meditate. Breathing. That really helps. Don't imagine the impossible. Shoot for achievable goals, and that will help reduce some anxiety. You can't just assume that you're going to be able to do everything the way that you want it. You just can't. Laughing and smiling. There's a thing that we learned in DBT called half smiling and willing hands. But half smiling is where, like, you're not happy, but, like, you smile a little bit, like, and it's supposed to make you happier. It's supposed to trick your mind into thinking that you're really smiling, and so it'll give you a little boost of, like, happiness. Learn what triggers your anxiety. Very true. Honestly, that is the best thing that you can do. Talk to somebody and get them to help you find out where your anxiety is coming from. That is the only thing that ever like really worked for me. And once I figured that out, it was so easy to be able to calm myself down, because, you know, when my anxiety is coming from different areas, different things help to calm me down. Although breathing always helps for me. And an ice pack. I love ice packs. I put it on my stomach when I feel nauseous, or I put it on my heart when my heart is beating too fast. I put it on my head when I'm feeling hot. I love ice packs. They help me a lot. Yeah, that's really everything that it says. I hope that any of that might help you. I know I was kind of all over the place, but I think that it would be good to give those things a try, you know, especially breathing, meditating, trying to shut everything out, not running away, but just like paying attention to you and nothing else. So I think that's a good. Yoga, awesome. Love yoga. And it's so hard to like focus on anything else when you're doing yoga, because then you mess up. So you have to focus on like what you're doing. So that's a really good way to distract yourself from anxiety and whatever. If you're not feeling nasty, do some yoga. It's good. Regardless of whether you're a man or woman. It's great. And so yeah, that's the end of this video. Anxiety is something that everybody deals with, and you just have to find out a way to make it easier to deal with. But it can be done. Promise. Living proof. And I will one day do an introductory video explaining why I have gotten into the wellness field and all of that stuff. This question, what is an anxiety disorder, is the perfect example as to like why. My backstory. So that's the first video. It's a little long, but I am not an editor, so this is just how it's gonna be. You can watch the whole thing. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much. If not, oh well, I can't really say anything because I didn't watch. I'll try to be doing this again soon in the future. But I was supposed to upload this yesterday, but I'm going to do it today. And I will put a link to this website in the description so that everybody has an opportunity to see it and maybe get some help if they feel like they need it. If you have more serious issues in depression and anxiety and you self-harm or have suicidal thoughts, please reach out to the suicide hotline, which, let me look that number up right now. Okay, it's 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. And it looks like you might be able to text them too. At least there's this thing here that says chat. I don't really know what that means, but if you need that, don't hesitate. They're literally there to help you. That is like their job. If you ever need somebody else to talk to, I am here for you. Anxiety, depression, I got you. I know exactly how that feels. Trust me, I have been there. I've never self-harmed, but I have been to every other corner of those issues. But please, like, reach out if you need it. I'll be there. Okay? Again, this is Amanda of Amanda Jane Wellness. And we will explore wellness together. I'm very, very happy to be able to do this, to be so privileged as to have any kind of audience. So, thanks, y'all. Have a great night.